In the middle of tremendous darkness and personal tragedy, false lights are trying to guide us, and they can bring shipwreck. We must be focused on God's pathways and His light in the storms of life. Christ is the light of navigation. Hello, and welcome to the Light of Navigation and this Reflections podcast. My name is Marguerite Lever-Woodall, and I'm an author, speaker, and your host. In these podcasts, I love to explore and contemplate different life issues and their solutions through the lens of God's wisdom and His words. In this episode of Reflections called Requiem for the Future, there's a discussion here about what happens when your future changes dramatically and where to go from there. Join me in giving thought on the tough issues of life, and let's discover God's pathways through them. I choose to explore the thoughts and feelings we all go through that no one else wants to talk about. To bring into discussion those thoughts that can run deep in us, but are not necessarily mentioned. There's a great peace available by bringing them out into the open for personal inspection and healing in the journey of our life. These thoughts and feelings can come from the loss of a spouse, a parent, or siblings. If they pass too soon in life, many anticipated future events just evaporate. I've personally felt a haunting and strange emptiness. It feels like a hole in the fabric of the future years yet to be lived. What was meant to be a large part of my life and future was gone in a moment's time. It's happened several times to me. Some of the greatest shock comes when a large part of the years ahead with someone you love is immediately ripped away from you when they die. Every life event that was yet to come is suddenly canceled. My hope is that in speaking about this, there will be comfort for others in this situation. Sometimes we need to grieve the loss of an expected future now missing, not just the loss of the person themselves. Requiem is a term used for the ritual lamentation or grief concerning the loss of something or of someone. In this case, I believe there's a need to grieve or lament what was meant to be, but is suddenly gone. You could call it a lament for a permanently absent future. This type of a requiem needs to be brief, but it would further our healing in the journey through our losses, whatever those may be. Lamenting something fully and with finality can release us to move on in life. The Jewish or Middle Eastern peoples are unabashedly emotional as a whole. They're quick to magnificently show their emotions during various life events, especially when there's a need to mourn or lament. There's other things to grieve that we normally wouldn't give thought to. Other applicable purpose for lament would be to let it help us let go of something we're not meant to hold on to. Lament helps us to face and embrace the finality of a situation. Have you ever thought about grieving the loss of your youth so you can move forward to a rich, final season of life? Just mourn the loss of our youth for a time and move on. At the risk of dwelling too much on my losses here, I want to share some thoughts that I journeyed through when I experienced the passing of several family members, as well as my only child. The sudden loss of a child, for example, is by far one of the hardest challenges in life. You can be looking for something to hold on to for the future if this happens. You know, it's the future events you have hidden in your heart for some time as a parent, waiting for them to be fulfilled in the future. There's the expectation of your son or daughter falling in love with someone, becoming engaged, and all the joy and anticipation that comes with this significant life event. As a parent, we would probably be thinking, who is this person who's captured my child's heart? Do they know just how special they really are? Then there's the introduction to this future spouse's immediate family and the developing relationships with them. Engagement parties are planned, and then finally the wedding. Being involved in this culminating event of love would have been so wonderful. Would I have been asked to help plan it, I wonder? How could I have helped financially, and what kind of wedding gift would I have given? A special gift would be needed to express my deepest love for my son on his special day. I can see myself sitting in the pew up front at the church, watching the wedding ceremony with tear-filled eyes. My joy would have been full to see him happy and in love. In the course of time, there's children of my child, my grandchildren. I wonder how many would there have been. The first baby comes due, and I'd have made sure to save my money to be there for the event. It would have been amazing to share in my son's joy to see his face when he holds his firstborn for the first time. Then it's my turn. The future celebrations with my son and his family, as well as the holiday events, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'd love to be a part of for many years. With loving care, I'd have picked out a birthday gift for each grandchild every year. Perhaps I would have lived nearby so that fixing Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner for everyone would have become a yearly family event. I'd have taken great care in making it extra special so that it would not be forgotten and look forward to every year and for the years to come. There's joy in that. All those summers where I visit them or they would visit me would be filled with all kinds of fun things to do together. The grandchildren's dances, sports, special events, achievement ceremonies, and school graduations I would want to attend. Perhaps I would even get to see my grandchildren become engaged and marry, and I would hold their children too. When my life would come to a close, I would be so grateful to have my son who would walk with me through my final days, who would look out for my interests when that time came. There was my hope of leaving a financial inheritance for him as well. More importantly, and greater still, I'd have had the opportunity to impart a spiritual legacy to my son and his family over the years beforehand. To be able to share the incredible life journey that I've known with the living God, with the view that it would hopefully guide his life journey and theirs farther than I could ever go. All of these things I have just described will never be, and they should be. Truthfully, I've sometimes felt like I'm totally blind and having to feel my way along a high, never-ending wall. I feel as though I cannot find my future. And I've thought, how do I walk through this, God? I feel so lost, and I don't know what life events are left to me. I do not see or know a large part of my future now. When we lose someone close to us, a large part of our current and future purpose and identity can feel like it's been ripped away from us. They took some meaning to life with them when they died. My son took my purpose as his mother to him into death. I certainly could not endure this pain without Christ comforting me. my future has been permanently altered. I realize now more than ever that I am alone. With my son and husband both gone, I've become much more aware now of this fear of being alone in this world as I journey through it, and I'm having to face it head on. At the risk of speaking out of self-pity, I wonder, does anyone know and see that I'm alone now? Does anyone care? Have you ever felt that way? We become so vested in our families and daily activities in our lives that we are completely oblivious to the concept of being alone. And this fear is not most often faced. It's good and right to be vested in family and friends because this is exactly what God intended for us. However, when tragedies strike and we lose someone we love, we are left facing the aloneness that has always been there all along. It can be quite difficult to acknowledge it and move forward. I'm speaking of the emptiness that is a backdrop in us all, because no one can come through for us as we hope for, at least not perfectly, if at all. No one can fill us completely or love us in totality because we are fallen people. All the stuff that this world offers to stave off the aloneness doesn't last long either. It's temporary. The thoughts I've just shared, that most won't, if brought out into the open, can bring healing if they're acknowledged. And this is my purpose for doing so here. I realized I had an opportunity to more deeply embrace what most fear too, and to be able to find what is most coveted, a deep trust and intimacy with God in the middle of it all. In the midst of the death of my future as I had anticipated it, I had to acknowledge the fear of being alone. In turn, then I can embrace the truth that I'm not abandoned from the biblical view, which tells me God is with me always. I don't like facing my fears, but I know it's necessary to grow and become more mature and grounded as I walk with God. Of course, instead of facing this fear of isolation, I could hide behind a disingenuous attitude or pretend it's not there at all. I could even take another route and try to cover over the aloneness with someone or something else. This is my requiem for the future that I've shared here. As a result, I've chosen to throw myself into God's arms every day. Only He can bring us through the emptiness we can and will face. I want to live the rest of life free from this fear of being alone. We need to learn more about God and who He is. I want Him to be more a part of me and to let Him hold me and my future now more than ever. To love me as only He can, and to learn to just be. Thank you for taking time to listen today. If this podcast will be an encouragement for someone you know who feels abandoned and alone, please pass it on. Your comments are valued, and subscribing is also deeply appreciated. In the next episode of Reflections called Jesus and the Justice Economy, a closer look at what God showed me about His justice will be explored. The point He made when He shared it was powerful.